It is Friday, September 12th. Welcome to Weather or Not. And Brian, we are following shower and thunderstorm chances for this coming weekend. Some much needed rain still across western and southwestern South Dakota. I don't think we touched on that drought monitor yesterday, did we? We will this time around.
We did not.
Okay.
And one thing about the pattern, too, I'll tell you what, with this southerly wind, it seems like just the basically dry weather for Sioux Falls and much of the southeast. Allergy sufferers.
Are you one of them?
Feeling it a little bit today,
Okay.
Scott. Yeah, I think that allergy pill that I take, it kind of knocks it down a little bit, but it's the ragweed pollen. I'm sure a lot of those numbers are pretty high right now. It's a warm weekend, too. So until it rains in your location to kind of clean the air out, you'll have to deal with those subjects here in the next few days.
And speaking of subjects, let's go ahead and take a look at our outline. We'll take a look at yesterday's weather, Brian. Set a record in Rapid City. We'll talk about the weekend forecast, drought monitor. I mentioned that. Cooler next week, but still humid. Oh, and the ever popular snow trend. At least I think it's becoming popular. Hope it's becoming popular.
Well, it is it's a talker. Yep. And I think you probably have some new things to share with that in mind. But boy, it's not anything close to that today, is it?
No, not at all. We are looking at Futurecast for today with showers, thunderstorms later this evening going into tonight in western South Dakota. As you see during the evening hours, things may be a little more widespread in western KELOLAND. Dry for central, eastern South Dakota until maybe we get into the overnight hours, and then central KELOLAND will bring in their chances for showers and thunderstorms. And then as we do look at our forecast for today, we'll have a chance for a marginal risk of severe weather, and this is something that may continue straight through this weekend. It's just a location of those storms as they start to fire. So temperatures today will reach the 80s and 90s. Our forecast for tonight with showers, thunderstorms that can make their way into central South Dakota. We'll have temperatures that will fall to the 60s for overnight lows. We'll talk about yesterday's weather, especially across western South Dakota. Coming up, you're watching Weather or Not. Welcome back to Weather or Not. It's time to talk about our weather from yesterday, Brian. And western South Dakota had some heat. Temperatures reaching 100 in Rapid City.
Seems like it's getting late to be talking
And these
about
numbers
100.
continue to go up, don't they?
They do. And with this persistent high pressure ridge and, the amplification of the air mass coming up out of western Nebraska and then into the Black Hills, it's really maximizing temperatures. So be alert to that, too, this weekend, because even for Sioux Falls and the southeast, tomorrow could be surprisingly warm. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if we're above our forecast high, just a little bit. Mm-hmm. Depends on that humidity level, but 94 in Phillip, and there's that 100 in Rapid City.
Yeah, 100-degree heat. That set a record for Rapid City, as the old record was last year when they hit 97. So isn't that something? Same date, just 3 degrees warmer.
Right. And
just a year apart.
And last fall, of course, we had a lot of dry weather that helped to amplify some of those September temperatures. But lately, too, we're drying out. We've talked several times about that with these patches in southwest South Dakota, and then also in the southeast where the ground is essentially cracked. It's lost a lot of moisture, Scott. I know around our house, seeing more of the crops turning colors.
I was about to say my lawn is changing color, too.
Yeah, a lot more browns and on the trees, too. Have you noticed that, too?
I have.
And I would argue the trees are a little prematurely stressed.
Okay.
I think. I'm not going to, obviously we can talk to an arborist or some other folks in those professions, but you can visually tell where trees are probably turning color a little bit faster than they would otherwise.
Timing rains that we had during the year kind of shut off in southeastern KELOLAND anyway.
Right. Yep. So let's, I know people got plans for the weekend, but getting some rain in the next 7 days is not a bad thing. We could use it.
No, it's the severe weather that we can do without. And they had severe weather yesterday. Here are a couple of hail reports east of Spearfish near Newell. These reports coming in yesterday evening, about 1 inch in diameter. That one south of Newell at about 1 inch in diameter. And then these have popped in too. Let me check where these are from. These are wind reports. During the overnight, we had some strong wind of 60 miles per hour or more. So these wind reports coming in south and southwest of Buffalo. Here's one in Buffalo at 53 miles per hour. So we had severe weather yesterday evening, even during the overnight hours into northwestern South Dakota. So these storms can still pack a punch with them. As we get into this weekend, we'll have to watch to see if we can get a couple of strong to severe thunderstorm warnings, as we do have that marginal risk for severe weather. Weekend forecast, we're looking at temperatures to hit 90 in Sioux Falls, and I'm with Brian, thinking that the number can be a little bit warmer than that. 86 on Sunday. We'll watch for that increasing chance for rain as we do go through the day on Sunday in eastern KELOLAND. We will have showers, thunderstorms develop in the western, eventually central South Dakota for the second half of the weekend. Our weekend forecast in Brookings, 88 on Saturday, 85 on Sunday, 20% chance for a late day shower or thunderstorm. Notice in south central South Dakota, Chamberlain will have a temperature of 82 on Sunday with that 60% chance for a scattered shower or even a thunderstorm. Want to touch on this too. The record high temperature in Sioux Falls tomorrow is at 96, and that takes us back to 1939. Tomorrow's forecast, Brian, mentioned high temperature near 90. Either one of us wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit warmer than that. You mentioned maybe a quick punch of some drier air that will come in. It's a lot easier to heat dry ground, dry air.
It is. And just as looking at the sample data for tomorrow, too, some of the newest data, and I'm actually looking at a couple things behind the scenes here, but 93 in Yankton for tomorrow afternoon. So if we're close to that level in Yankton, I have to think Sioux Falls not too far behind that. So make sure you're staying hydrated tomorrow. Yeah. Got a lot of activities outdoors. And, we're still in that summer mode. Can't let your guard down just yet.
And here's that pocket of hot air, too, Brian. Those are temperatures in the 90s, that darker shade of red that you see in southeastern South Dakota. Notice how it's trying to get real close to the Sioux Falls area. That's at 2 in the afternoon. Now, behind this system, look at this. This is widespread rain that we have across western South Dakota. And with the thicker clouds, with the rain, temperatures will be much cooler. Afternoon highs probably in the 60s. So let's go ahead and put this one into motion. As you can see, did you see that? Those numbers did go up to the 90s in Sioux Falls during the afternoon. So, don't be surprised to see southeastern South Dakota, northwestern Iowa, probably the best chance to have those temperatures in the 90s. And then during the evening, some of that rain will move into central South Dakota. We'll see how much of it moves maybe into northeastern KELOLAND. But there's that marginal risk for severe weather tomorrow. Hail and wind being the main threat. Anywhere from Rapid City to the east, Pierre, Mobridge, getting close to Aberdeen. If that happens, it'll probably happen very late in the day, maybe going into the overnight. And north of Winter, it's that marginal risk for severe weather. Here's Sunday's map. You can see the warm air in eastern South Dakota. Temperatures do warm to the 80s. 90s may show up across northwestern Iowa. But it looks like the best chance to see the rain will be in central South Dakota. Widespread rain from south central to north central KELOLAND during the afternoon on Sunday. It will be slow to move across into eastern South Dakota. Not to say that it won't happen. We do have those chances, 20, maybe up to 40% along the James River Valley. They can see scattered showers, thunderstorms during the afternoon. And then as we get into the late afternoon, early evening, I really think it's eastern South Dakota is probably our best chance to see the rain for this weekend. It is something that will probably hold off until we do get into the evening hours across eastern South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. And there's that marginal risk again for severe weather across eastern South Dakota, hail and wind being the main threat out of any storms that do develop. And Brian, you talked a little bit about those dry conditions in southeastern KELOLAND, and that brings us to our next topic, what's going on with the drought monitor.
Yeah, and keeping in mind some of this drought is longer-term drought. Some of it is short-term dryness out there too. And with pockets of lack of rain, it's beginning to get a little more noticeable.
Yeah, that's something that we can follow here. This is look at the past 7 days. The rains have been, I would label it as hit and miss, probably a lot of misses showing up as we are looking at many locations here. It's coming back as a trace. We do have other areas around 1/4 of an inch. And again, keep in mind, these are rainfall estimates. I know we've had some heavier pockets of rain that moved through earlier in the week, just to the east of Sioux Falls, also to the south of Sioux Falls and into northwestern Iowa. You do see those pockets of green and maybe even some yellow and orange to the northwest of Worthington, where those are just, those tiny areas that receive some heavier rainfall, but nothing widespread. So a lot of these are coming in at a trace, maybe getting up to about 1/4 inch of rainfall. So we haven't had much rain over the past week, and this is what the latest drought monitor is showing. It's much like what it had last week. In fact, the percentages haven't changed. That's still a moderate drought in central South Dakota to include winter. And we've been looking at this almost all summer into the early fall now. We've had these dry conditions across southwestern South Dakota and Hot Springs. We're looking at that moderate drought. So we have those dry conditions across western and southwestern KELOLAND that they can use a hit of water here, Brian, as we go through this weekend. So I think with the rain that's coming this weekend, chances continuing into next week, we'll probably see improvement in that drought monitor. But keep in mind, too, about 75% of the state is not in drought.
Right.
It's not labeled in any sort of dry conditions or any sort of drought.
Yep. So it's kind of relegated to those pockets. And I would imagine those that have been catching some rain lately, it seems like it's almost a given that the next rounds of rain will tend to pivot those directions again. But we can obviously hope for the best if we can knock down some of that fire weather danger. I know that's a story we had. What was it, about 2 or 3 days ago? Ran a story around Pine Ridge of some grass fires near Manderson, South Dakota, I believe. And it's that time of year. This stuff's going to pop up, and we just need to be extra cautious about that and hope that a little bit of fall rain could help. We don't want to get overly wet, but we do need some moisture. And I think that illustrates that pretty well.
And if we could keep that severe weather away. It's interesting that you brought up Pine Ridge. That's an area that we talked about earlier, because remember over the weekend, I think they fell to 27 for a low. And then they shot up to, was it 90 or 100 maybe? I mean, they had a big variance. I think it must have been 90.
Yeah, and dry air. Again, it makes a big difference.
It goes both ways. Easier to cool off, easier to warm up.
Right, yep. Some pretty chilly mornings, and then you're back to some heat again. And certainly finishing out this week with some hot weather once again there.
And we're done with our segment for the moment. We'll be back right after this. All right. Headline says cooler next week, but still humid. So we've had temperatures in the 80s, 90s, and the 100s this week. Temperatures next week are expected to cool. We have, things still starting in the 80s and then slowly cooling. Maybe by midweek, we could see these temperatures slide to the 70s. But our average highs are around, by that time, 75 degrees in Sioux Falls anyway.
Right, yeah.
So cooling the average with better chances for rain. We'll continue with humidity with these dew point temperatures in the 60s. Not seeing any cold fronts coming through anytime soon.
No, nothing that's going to scour out some of that humidity. Now, there are a couple of opportunities for the humidity to go down just simply because of the temperature being hotter this weekend. We've seen some evidence of that into Nebraska. But, the overall trend here as we pick up, this is, I was just looking at some of the latest information for early next week. And, the effects of that low pressure center coming out of the Intermountain West. There's Sunday, for example. You see the blues and the greens there around the Four Corners area. So that's just driven by the fact that you've got some clouds and some rain there. In fact, that's what's driving Rapid City's forecast too. But see that middle of next week, we're still above normal. And even with the passage of a frontal or this low pressure center, even we land next weekend. Look at that, south winds, and a lot of the midsection of the country is still above normal. So I'm curious to see how persistent this is. This goes out to September 26th. We're running out of September days here.
Yeah, we are. And then you'd think in October, the pendulum should swing, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it seems to me like as we've analyzed this forecast this week, the longer we go out, the more we emphasize the word slow or the phrase slowing down. Everything has been, revolving around. Now we're kind of basking in a warmer pattern. Low pressure centers to our west are getting blocked. So you get some segments of rain, things retreat, then they come back next week. That's going to be showing up pretty well on Futurecast here for the middle of next week.
And, you talk about September, things being blocked, things being slowing down. To me, it suggests that there should be some kind of tropical system in the works that's slowing down our weather. I don't see any.
Not to be found. I know. It's very interesting, isn't it? As we watch the tropics being a little bit quiet, which, of course, for folks on the Gulf Coast and the East Coast, that's not a bad thing.
Okay.
Not at all.
Our dew point temperatures, and Brian, you talked about that pocket of some drier air that's trying to come in. Now, notice we have a dew point temperature in Sioux Falls at 62, while it's 68 in Pierre, 67 in Winter. Now, keep in mind, this is a model forecast. This is Saturday afternoon, and this is the day that we have Sioux Falls warming to at least 90. I think I saw in the herd, it might have been 91, 92 it was projecting for tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay. I haven't checked the latest runs. That was the 6Z run from earlier this morning. So we have that pocket of some dry air coming in. Should be able to heat. Wouldn't be surprised if we see our temperatures in the lower 90s in and around Sioux Falls. Everybody else probably seeing temperatures in the 80s. Now, as we continue through time, we talked about how it will be cooler next week with chances for rain as we cool closer to average, but these dew point temperatures aren't changing. Low to middle 60s, so that's okay. We could use some rain still. Low to mid 60s will interact with some of that humidity that's in the air to help bring in better chances for rain. And this is a graphic I put together earlier this week, too. This is illustrating where we have those dew point temperatures of at least 60 degrees, as that is highlighted in light green. And then, of course, what you see is with your regular Futurecast colors that we have showing our chances for showers and thunderstorms. This is jumping into next week. So keep that in mind. We're going into next week. That's Tuesday. Showers, thunderstorms will increase in coverage across eastern South Dakota. Same thing happens for Wednesday as these dew point temperatures stay with us in the low to middle 60s. So next week for eastern KELOLAND, it at least looks a little more active with bringing in, I would say, better chances for showers and thunderstorms as, our humidity sticks with us. You said it before, things are slow to move across the area. Maybe I should bring that turtle graphic out again.
You might have to do that. These low pressure centers, too, because of their behavior with their being cut off from the polar or the main northern branch of the jet stream here, it's going to make it more complicated to forecasting particular features here because we deal with these rounds or these clusters that erupt and then they move and then the next one develops. So we don't really have these well-defined fronts that are moving in a nice organized line from the west. So it's kind of messy. It's not going to be as organized as maybe some folks would like it, but at least we can describe the characteristics of the pattern. And overall, I would say, Scott, the middle of next week, if that low reorganizes as it's shown now, that would be a more active pattern for us because we can sit here with that. Plus the fact we know that Texas and the deep south are going to be pretty much covered by that dominant high. So all that moisture is going to go up and over or around that. Makes sense to me that we would have more active weather in the northern plains.
Yeah, I'm still, I don't want to say stunned, just a little surprised that these dew point numbers are staying in the 60s as we get into, the middle of the month and beyond.
Yeah, they're but it's, again, a function of how that moisture comes around the bend. And as long as we have a day with some sort of a south or southeast wind.
And it looks like we have many of those days ahead.
A lot of those days. So, just remember that. Looks like as we get into the extended forecast, that's going to play us at least through day 7 for the most part.
Yeah. All right, so let's bring this in.
You added your graphic. I like that on the side.
Big smile.
Happy to forecast this, aren't you? I have to laugh. Some people think they'll ask me in the store, Scott. They'll say, Scott must love snow. He forecasts that every year. I said, well, yeah, he likes it, I'm sure, but I don't know that he's an overly big fan of it.
Well, I get tired of it too. You know, I think we've talked about this before, that we enjoy the changing of the seasons, bringing in different weather. I get tired of being too hot. I get tired of being too cold. I get tired of moving snow. I get tired of cutting the grass. The list goes on and on.
Well, and the
nice
infinite variety of weather, right?
Variety. Yeah, variety is the spice of life. That's what I like to say. All right, let's see what we can find here. Snow depth. We like to start with this one because we don't have anything to show. Here's a snowfall outlook that takes us out the next 2 weeks. More or less, it's been showing the same thing, going into higher elevations well to our west and well to our northwest. But the one thing that we have been showing is this, and we keep in mind, too, we continue to go later in time here. This is a forecast that goes out 45 days, looking at different members. It goes up to 100. I counted last time, Brian, at, was it 18 yesterday? Today it comes back at 17 members out of the 100, showing at least something. And it looks like it's trying to start maybe around, I don't know, the 10th of October, with 1-2 of them being the earliest to try to bring something in. Mm-hmm. So maybe we will have somewhat of a pattern change in the works. Sooner or later we will.
Yeah.
It's a matter of when.
And it's consistently holding in that range, isn't it? It's shooting out those ideas. Mm-hmm. So that's now to some people they're like, well, that's quite a ways off. But really, is that far away?
No.
A month away?
No. I mean, we're at the 12th right now. We go through a fun weekend. That will put us to 15th then?
Yeah. And you've got to think.
Get back on Monday. Mm-hmm.
If it stays warm, let's just say, for example, the next 10, 12, 14 days, it seems to be just intuitive that there should be some more dramatic changes in the weather pattern in early October. But timeline, that's the key, isn't it? If we had a crystal ball that could give us that valuable information on exact timelines, but that does not quite exist. So,
the only thing we have is a magic 8 ball, and we can't believe that, right?
We're just going to go with our knowledge of what we know so far, right? And certainly next week we'll have a little better picture too. I want to see how this low evolves, and I'd like to hopefully be able to report some beneficial rains next week in areas that could use it before the fall harvest. We don't want to go into fall harvest and just be, just drying out all the time. Mm-hmm. Farmers would like it to be dry to get things done, though, so there is a balance there. We just don't want it to be so tender that we get grass fires and all those kind of things.
We've had that before.
Oh, yeah. We've had too many falls where, we get a little too dry. So we get to watch it, don't we, Scott?
That we will, and you can watch and listen to what we have to say about it as you continue to follow our program, whether or not. That's all the time we have for today. Enjoy your coming weekend.